Reduced to their simplest theoretical expression, all our friends' arguments resolve themselves into this one dogma. The prices of commodities are determined or regulated by wages. I might appeal to practical observation to bear witness against this antiquated and exploded fallacy. I might tell you that the English factory operatives, miners, shipbuilders, and so forth, whose labor is relatively high-priced, undersell by the cheapness of their produce all other nations, while the English agricultural laborer, for example, whose labor is relatively low-priced, is undersold by almost every nation because of the dearness of his produce. By comparing article with article in the same country and commodities of different countries, I might show, apart from some exceptions, more apparent than real, that on average the high-priced labor produces the low-priced, and the low-priced labor produces the high-priced commodities. This, of course, would not prove that the high price of labor in the one and its low price in the other instance are the respective causes of those diametrically opposed effects. But at all events, it would prove that the prices of commodities are not ruled by the prices of labor. However, it is quite superfluous for us to employ this empirical method. It might perhaps be denied that Citizen Weston has put forward the dogma. The prices of commodities are determined by or regulated by wages. In point of fact, he has never formulated it. He said, on the contrary, that profit and rent also form constituent parts of the prices of commodities, because it is out of the prices of commodities that not only the working man's wages, but also the capitalist's profits and the landlord's rents must be paid. But how, in his idea, are prices formed? First, by wages. Then, an additional percentage is joined to the price on behalf of the capitalist, and another additional percentage on the behalf of the landlord. Suppose the wages of the labor employed in the production of a commodity to be 10. If the rate of profit was 100% to the wages advanced, the capitalist would add 10, and if the rate of rent was also 100% upon the wages, there would be added 10 more, and the aggregate price of the commodity would amount to 30. By such a determination of prices would be simply their determination by wages. If wages in the above case rose to 20, the price of the commodity would rise to 60, and so forth. Consequently, all the superannuated writers on political economy who propounded the dogma that wages regulate prices have tried to prove it by treating profit and rent as mere additional percentages upon wages. None of them were, of course, able to reduce the limits of those percentages to any economic law. They seem, on the contrary, to think that profits, settled by tradition, custom, the will of the capitalist, or by some other equally arbitrary and inexplicable method. If they assert that they are settled by competition between capitalists, they say nothing. That competition is sure to equalize the different rates of profits in different trades, or reduce them to one average level, but it can never determine the level itself or the general rate of profit. what do we mean by saying that the prices of commodities are determined by wages? Wages being but a name for the price of labor, we mean that the prices of commodities are regulated by the price of labor. As price is exchangeable value, and in speaking of value, I speak always of exchangeable value. Is exchangeable value expressed in money? The proposition comes to this, that the value of commodities is determined by the value of labor, or that the value of labor is the general measure of value. But how, then, is the value of labor itself determined? Here we come to a standstill. Of course we come to a standstill if we try reasoning logically, and yet the propounders of that doctrine make short work of logical scruples. Take our friend Weston, for example. First, he told us that wages regulate the price of commodities, that consequently, when wages rise, prices must rise. Then he turned around to show us that a rise of wages will be no good because the prices of commodities had risen, and because wages were indeed measured by the prices of the commodities upon which they are spent. Thus we begin by saying that the value of labor determines the value of commodities, and we wind up by saying that the value of commodities determines the value of labor. Thus we move to and fro in the most vicious circle and arrive at no conclusion at all. On the whole, it is evident that by making the value of one commodity, say labor, or corn, or any other commodity, the general measure and regulator of value, we only shift the difficulty, since we determine one value by another, which on its side wants to be determined. The dogma that wages determine the prices of commodities, expressed in its most abstract terms, comes to this, that the value is determined by value. And this tautology means, in fact, that we know nothing at all about value. Accepting this premise, all reasoning about the general laws of political economy turns into mere twaddle. It was therefore the great merit of Ricardo that in his work on the Principles of Political Economy, published in 1817, he fundamentally destroyed the old, popular, worn-out fallacy that wages determine prices, a fallacy which Adam Smith and his French predecessors had spurned in reality, in the really scientific parts of their researches, but which they reproduced in their more exoterical and vulgarizing chapters.